video, I want to share a couple more facts around JSX with you. Throughout this course, we're going to be using JSX quite a bit, so it's really important for you to have a solid understanding on how it works. Okay, so a couple different things. First rule is that we can assemble different JSX elements together as though they were normal HTML elements. So we can nest one element inside of another if we want to. I'm going to import another JSX element from React Native up here. Right next to style sheet, I'll put a comma, and then I'll get the view element. We can use the view element to position or group together multiple other elements inside of it. So I want to try using this view element to wrap this text. To do so, I'm going to place a view opening tag right in front of text, then a new line, then I'll place a closing view element on the other side. Now, one really important thing to be aware of whenever you add in a view element like this right here. Whenever you add in that view element, notice how at the end of the text statement, I had a semicolon at the very end of the line. As soon as I wrap that line with the view element, React now considers this semicolon right here to be a piece of text that we're trying to show to the user, even though it is not technically wrapped inside of a text element. So if I save this, I'll then see an error message on my device, and it says that text strings must be rendered inside of a text component. So we're seeing that solely because I accidentally left on that semicolon at the end of the line, once I wrapped it with the view element. So to get this error message to go away, I would remove that little semicolon. I can now save this, and the error message goes away. So as you see, we can assemble multiple different elements together, just as though they were HTML. So for example, if I wanted to then produce another text element, I can place another text right underneath the existing one, and I'll give it some text like, "Hi there." This second text element right here doesn't have any styling applied to it, so it will appear as the default text styling. Once I save that and check out my device again, I'll see "Hi there" appear as rather small text on the screen. So that's the default styling for a text element. All right, next up. Whenever we show a JSX element, we can configure it on the fly by using the props system. The word props right here is short for properties. We're already making use of one prop when we created this text element right here. The style thing right here is an actual prop. So we're trying to configure this text element on the fly when the element is created. There are several different built-in props that you need to know around text and view elements. In addition, once we start to build our own custom components, we can build them so they can accept some number of props, so you and I can customize our own components that we create. For right now, just understand that when we create a JSX element, just as we are right here, we can specify some configuration options and we refer to them as props. Okay, next up, we can refer to JavaScript variables inside of a JSX block by using curly braces. So let me show you a quick example of this. Up at the top of my function, I'm going to define a new variable called greeting, and I'll assign it the string of "Hi there." If I now want to print out that string anywhere inside of my JSX block, I could refer to the variable greeting inside of a set of curly braces. So for example, if I replace "Hi there" with curly braces and inside there greeting, I can then save this, and I'll see the same result appear on the screen. If I change it to "Bye there" just to make sure it's really working, now I'll see "Bye there." So anytime we have a JavaScript variable, if we want to refer to it inside of JSX, we're always going to wrap it with some curly braces. We can also, say, assign a number to greeting. So if I put in a number of like 1, 2, 3 and save this, we'll see that number appear. We can also do an array of numbers. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll see that full number appear. And we can also do, say, an array of strings. So ASDF and then BBB. And I'll see that appear as well. The one big exception to showing some content inside of a block of JSX, specifically inside of a text element, is that we cannot try to show a JavaScript object. So for example, if I assign an object of color is red to the variable greeting right here, and then save it, we'll see an error message. So again, specifically, we cannot show a JavaScript object inside of a text element. Otherwise, we'll see an error just like the one you see right there. So I'm going to change this back to saying greeting of the string "Hi there," and back to working. Okay, so now last thing, we can assign JSX elements to a variable and then show that variable inside of a JSX block. So very similar to what we're doing right here. If we wanted to, we can instead create the text element up here. And inside here, maybe I'll say something like "hello to you," So now a JSX element has been assigned to greeting. And now we're going to try to print out that JSX element inside of here. Rather than trying to place it inside of another text element, I'm going to remove that text element and replace it with just greeting. So now we can really imagine that we could take this entire element right here, copy it, and paste it over. That's kind of like what's happening. All right, so I can save that, and we're still going to see the correct thing appear. Now you might be kind of curious why we would ever want to assign a JSX element to a variable. Well, it's really simple. Over time, we're going to want to create some JSX conditionally ahead of time. So we might want to inspect some kind of variable, and depending upon its value, we might want to put in a text element right here, or maybe an image instead. Who knows? Okay, so now that we've got some basic rules around JSX, let's take a quick pause and continue in the next video.